everybody, and welcome to the Sports Card Advantage podcast. I am Jeff, and we are joined tonight by a special guest, Kenneth Fornos. Welcome to the podcast, Kenneth. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. We also have my usual co-pilot. Bunk is in the chair and joining us this evening as well. What's up, Bunk? How you doing?
I'm good. I thought I was getting left out.
Guy, we have a guest on. We got to give him priority.
Yeah, all right.
Before we get started, Kenneth, give out your social channels, your YouTube, where people can find you, so that people can watch your content after the interview.
Yeah, for sure. YouTube is literally my first and last name, Kenneth Fornos. That's all you got to type in. Instagram is mainly where I post any kind of content. After YouTube is KFORNOZ. So it's K Fornos, but the S is a Z.
And for those of you that are spelling, that's KENNETHFORN as in Nancy, OS, Kenneth Fornos is YouTube, and then KFORNOZ for Instagram. So before we get into the actual hobby talk, why don't you give the people a little bit more information about yourself? I personally been watching your content on YouTube for, probably the past 6 months or so. Really think that you're very much plugged into the hobby on the ground level as far as being in the trenches. So if you can give the people a little bit more information about, who you are and what you do and your origin story, so to speak, as far as how you came into the hobby, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So, just a regular, I feel like I'm living the dream right now. I'm just a regular kid, literally traveling across the country and exchanging cards and making a living off of it right now. I came into the hobby. I read about the hobby in 2019 and in 2018. Really, I started taking the hobby serious in late 2019. I collected cards as a kid. I had a neighbor who he would go to this local sports card shop. And we had a very small local sports card shop, and he would buy so many game use patches and stuff like that. And I had so many cards growing up. And then out of nowhere, you just grow up and they're just gone. Mom just throws them away. And then you ask, well, where are all my cards? And I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But then I read up about the hobby in late 2018, kind of just kept, following it. Then mid 2019, everybody was talking, Gary Vee, for example. He was talking, pumping it up. And, a lot of people shy away, especially new people that came from, Gary Vee talking about it. And, after that, I started buying cards. And I thought it was crazy dropping $200 on a card. And then 2 months later, it doubled. And then I started figuring out, wow, I can do this.
And then you're hooked.
Yeah, and then you just get hooked. And not only that, it's obviously the nostalgia and stuff. But then, you just start appreciating a piece, it's like art. You just get something, and sometimes you're not even trying to sell it. Sometimes you just buy it and you're just oh, this is cool, and I'm just gonna have it here and just display it and look at it every day and appreciate this card.
So speaking of the nostalgia of it all, who is in your PC?
My PC is so my family is all from Miami. So growing up, they were the first sports team I ever watched in anything. So growing up, my whole family was yeah, you gotta like the Dolphins, you gotta like the Marlins, you gotta like the Heat, all of them. So anything Miami really is PC. My favorite players, I'd say, but other than that, really truly, it's anything Miami. And some cool stuff that I'm adding to the PC is movies that I grew up on. If I find an actor's card or something, sometimes I'll find them and just stash them for a while and stuff.
So now you're really speaking my language. I'm a huge movie nerd. So give me your we'll sidebar the hobby for just a sec here. Give me your top 5 movies. I know we're probably different generations, so give me your top 5 movies and your coolest movie piece that you have in your collection.
Top 5 movies? Wow, that's right on the spot. There's so many movies. I think honestly, dang. So I love the Marvel series.
Okay.
I love action figures. Growing up, Spider-Man is the ultimate superhero. So, whenever Marvel finally got the rights from Sony, it was a dream come true to see this man in the Avengers.
Yeah.
I think number one movie probably is Avengers: Infinity War. I think that's probably like the best movie I've ever seen. And it's crazy because the other day I found a big, like it was like a big notebook of Marvel cards at the flea market.
Okay.
And there's this Impel 1992 Marvel like insert, and it's like Avengers: Infinity War. And it's literally Thanos against the Avengers. And I looked it up. It was like a $3 card, but I was like, wow, like I don't care. This is a nice card.
Yeah.
You know, like this is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, if you look at some of the 1990 Marvel Universe, the PSA 10s on those are out like crazy high.
Yeah, I know they're ridiculous, like the Spider-Man and the Thanos.
Yeah.
So, I honestly don't know my top 5 movies because you just threw that out of nowhere. Like, I literally have to think. I literally have to think. Like, bro, there's so many movies I've seen. But like Infinity War is probably the best movie I've seen. I'm gonna say The Dark Knight, number 2. Number 3, I'm gonna go with The Godfather 2.
Wow.
Part 2.
Okay. Respect to the younger generation for pulling that out.
Definitely 2 over 1.
Yeah, definitely 2 over 1. They didn't have to make 3, but 3 was still good. What else? Let's see. There's another one. There's something crossing my. It's gonna come up here in a second.
That's pretty good for on the spot, though.
Yeah. I'm at 3, right? So number 4, I'm gonna go with. Probably Heat. Have you guys seen the movie Heat?
Of course, I have.
That's a good one.
Just to clue you in on Bunk, if it's not a war movie or a baseball movie, he probably has not seen it. So.
Oh, okay.
I'm 2 for 4 so far in his movie, so settle down.
So Heat is in there, and then let's see. Dang, what's another movie? What's another good movie that I've seen? Oh, The Departed. That's a great movie.
That movie's awesome.
That movie like has the ultimate cast. The ultimate cast.
And of the movie pieces that you have, what's your favorite one?
Probably the one that I just found, that Infinity War one.
Okay.
No kidding. That's awesome.
I mean, that's literally like I literally found it, and I was like, wow, this looks like it's maybe worth $30, you know, because everything shot up out of nowhere, like the pop culture stuff.
Yeah.
But then I looked it up; it was like $3, and I was like, well, it's worth $30 to me.
Did you have any of those? I don't know the time frame here, but did you have any of those Marvel cards as a kid?
No. Growing up, what I got was a bunch of Jordan inserts. Like my uncle, he was a big collector as well. So that's another thing. Like he had a bunch of football cards, but then he had Jordan cards, and he gave me 2 Jordan cards. He gave me the 1993 Upper Deck MVP insert. It's like where it's 2 pictures of Jordan. It's one where he's shooting a shot and he's going for a layup. And it's like back-to-back MVP, like regular seasons and finals MVP card. It's not worth much, but like at the time when I got it, like I was like, wow, this card, beautiful artwork. This card's going to be worth $1 million one day. So I found it, literally, when I got back into the hobby, I found it still in the same drawer, fresh top loader, everything. I still have that card to this day.
Oh, you didn't lose that one, so that's good.
No, never lost that card.
So
quick side note on missing cards from parents. I just read a story that a son sued his parents because he left for college or something. They chucked everything. He sued his parents and won $35,000 from the parents in a settlement. The judge awarded the dude $35,000 or something like that because his parents threw out his cards.
That's awesome.
I don't think I can sue my mom.
He must have had like Excel sheets and everything listing what he had.
He had to, and it's sad because like growing up, that like I was telling you guys, that local card shop. So I lived in a very small town here in North Carolina as well. That local card shop. I remember when I got back into the hobby, I was like, wow, maybe that card shop's still there. It's just gone.
Yeah,
it's just gone, and you know,
the card.
See how quick time passes by.
Yeah, the card shop that we had growing up in Jersey, the guy recently said, that he was selling and he was liquidating everything and like moving down to Florida or something. So he sold his shop, and I know that we tried to pick up some stuff on the cheap, but unfortunately couldn't grab anything before it was all gone.
Unfortunately, he was one of those guys, and this might be Beckett magazine. You probably never even looked at one. A price guide, have you?
I have seen the price.
Okay, so I know they're a little bit obsolete now, but he literally listed his cards at high Beckett value, and there was no turning back. He didn't care about comps. He cared about nothing except the magazine said so.
Yeah, no, there's still some people. So like here at the local shows, like there's still some people that I'll be like, hey, because I try to buy a lot of vintage. Honestly, I like buying vintage. I'll be like,
Nice.
hey, how much you have on this card? Like the other day, I asked somebody, I was like, how much do you have on that Hank Aaron right there? He was like, well, let me check it. He brings out the Beckett like it's the Bible.
No.
He was like, let me check how much it bucks.
Listen, I held on to that magazine for a long time, but I finally said, you know what?
Yeah.
It's useless now.
Some people still use it. You'd be very surprised.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I think for some lower end vintage and stuff like that, just to get some starting points, it's fine, especially in areas where there's not a lot of comps and stuff. I think that's okay because it does try to track, comps and then adjust. But
for sure,
yeah,
the day to day stuff, you can't just be flipping into that.
The internet is here, fellas. Like we don't
No.
need we don't need paper. So just switching gears a little bit back to the hobby stuff. Actually, before we move on to that, one last question, and just more of an observation. If you haven't seen the custom HGA Marvel slabs, I would look into those. Just because they put some cool ass slabs together. So obviously, if the card's not worth much, you don't really care where it goes, and you're not going to send it to PSA for grading. So if you're looking to preserve it, I would send it HGA custom slab for $30, and they literally will put like Thanos and whoever in the slab graphic. And I've seen some awesome ones that they've done with the 1990 Marvel Universe set. They're just badass cards.
Yeah. I like some of their custom ones. Like the one that always sticks out is the Pat Tillman one. That was sick.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, we actually did the Pat Tillman American flag with a Christian Pulisic 2017 U.S. men's national team Kaboom at HGA because PSA, it was at that point when we got it slabbed, it was like 8 months, 10 months, whatever it was. So we sent it off to HGA and we got the U.S. American flag in the slab with a Pulisic Kaboom. Came out awesome.
Yeah, their custom slabs are really cool. So
yeah, it just
I'd be excited to see what their Marvel ones look like. Honestly,
check it out. They're really cool.
Go on to when you get a chance, go on to 130 point and look at the Black Panther slab that they did. Sick. Like it came out fantastic. It'd be something that if you're looking to slab that Thanos card, that's probably what you would do to preserve it and have it look nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Last thing about your origin story. Speaking of Marvel, what would you consider your favorite card in your PC, and then what would you consider your most valuable or best card in your PC?
Favorite card, honestly. So, I bought a. It's really nothing crazy, but I bought a. Let me see. I had to look at the wall. Okay, I bought a Bam. I bought a Bam Adebayo second year. Neon green at a 5. It's nothing crazy, like I said. It's just cool because I got it for a cheap price on eBay.
Yeah.
Ended up slabbing it. Came back a PSA 10. I take it to every show, and I never take it out of my carrying case. Yeah. I noticed that. Like I went to the show this weekend, and I was like, why do I even bring this with me? I never even put it in the show.
You show it off.
Yeah. So that's probably honestly my favorite card because I literally just look at that card and I'm just like, wow, I won this for a pretty great price. And there's only 5 in the world, and yeah, now it's encapsulated forever, and it's something that I hold very near and dear to me.
Yeah. And what would you say is your most valuable card?
Most valuable card? I just bought a LeBron Topps paper PSA 10 this weekend.
So, okay.
Very nice.
I did some research within the last year and a half, kind of is this a good price to get in at? And I think I got it at a really great price, and I think it's right now a great time to buy LeBron.
Agreed, very much agreed. He is doing everything in his power to win one more championship and head off into the sunset. So I think that based on where the technical of his card charts are, I think you're at a good spot, and especially if you bought it in person, you probably got a much better deal than eBay, I would think.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, that's a perfect segue into starting to talk more about shows and hobby and buying and selling. So you said before that you are full-time in the hobby, buying and selling. Is that correct?
Yes. I've been full-time now for ever since the end of June.
End of June, like 3 months ago, end of June?
Correct. That's when I actually left my job.
And how much did that scare the shit out of you?
It scared the hell out of me, like completely. Like trust me, like literally, I was like, I wanted to do it earlier too, and I knew I could do it, but like it's like you know you want to take a risk, and it's like there's that something in the back of your head like nah, it's not time yet, it's not time yet.
Yeah.
And then at the end of June I was like nah, it's time, like it's like let's go.
Yeah.
I literally asked for the vacation, and then I talked to my boss, and I was like, look man, honestly, like because in July there was a bunch of stuff that was about to happen. Like he was the thing is my boss at my old job, he was very, very understanding. He knew what I did as well. He knew I'd be off on the weekends and stuff. But I was like, look, because in July when I went on vacation, the week after I had to go to Atlanta. I already committed to the Atlanta show, and then the National was coming for like 5 straight days.
Yeah.
I already booked everything, so I was like, look, I want to make this work as much as possible, but I'm not gonna be here most of July, so maybe we can work something. And then like he was like, look, I understand. He was like, you can have a 30-day leave of absence, and if you feel like you're good, then you can just resign. And honestly, like in my head, when he told me 30-day leave of absence, I was like, yeah, I'm never coming back.
Yeah, dude,
And
that's amazing.
pretty
And
much,
I know that all the guys that are listening to this, want to be in your shoes at least as far as doing it full time. So they're very curious as far as how you actually do it. So for those of you that see the content, we see you at the shows, buying and selling. Is that the primary place that you buy and sell, or are you doing things in like Facebook groups and eBay and other things like that as well?
yeah, mostly shows, honestly. Like, I buy and sell at shows, and then there's some stuff that you'll be surprised. Like if you hit a local flea market, sometimes you'll be surprised some stuff that people bring. You gotta hit it early though. And then you never know. Somebody's got like a little collection or binders or something like that. And then there's some hidden gems just tucked away, and then you just find it for super cheap.
And
Um,
are you buying raw, selling raw, or do you buy and grade anything? Like, what's your process as far? I mean, shit. In some of the videos, it looks like you literally buy from table A and go sell it to some guy who comes up to your table, and you make a 20% mark in 10
yeah,
minutes. But
yeah. So, I mean, I buy everything raw, graded. I mean, I think a lot of people always think that you have to make money off of graded. Like you can make money off of raw. You just have to get it at the right price, honestly. Not only that, like sometimes I mean, you got to look through dollar bins and $2 bins and $10 bins. Like there's stuff hidden in there that are like 5x of what it is. I know when I hit some local shows, like I've found $40 cards in a 50-cent bin,
yeah,
and
Yeah,
you just
it's just too much work for them to keep going in every week or every 2 weeks as prices change, and prices change like crazy now. You
exactly
get
prices change like crazy, and people never update their dollar boxes. They don't want to look through it again.
well, I think that people always forget too that most of the people in this hobby don't have thousands of dollars to spend on cards, and so if you get something for 50 cents, that's a $20 card. There's a market out there. Like everybody's like, has a bit of vanity, I think, with some of this, and it's like, well, it's not the best player and it's not a PSA 10. I don't want it, but there's so many people out there that are so happy when they buy a $40 card and have it of their favorite player or some bullshit off-brand patch, but it's a $40 card for them.
Yeah, and another thing, like, so I buy and sell at shows, obviously, but like whenever I buy stuff at shows that I don't put in the showcase, I mean, I list some stuff on eBay, but I mean, I do consign with DC Sports.
Okay.
So literally, you just buy a bunch of stuff, and if you get a great deal on it, you send it off to them. They do all the work for you, and then that's just like another form of passive income coming in.
So the big Minshew lot that you and Roth bought down in Dallas, are you gonna send that off to them, or are you guys holding that, hoping that he gets in a game somewhere and then you're gonna dump it all?
they're holding, baby.
Yeah, that one's like literally the lowest. Like so so if you watch the Hickory show last month too, the Trubisky lot,
Yeah.
the Minshew lot, that's just stuff you just hold. Like if they ever, because last year and the years prior, people, I mean, I've watched the market on just one player coming in to take a snap. Just the hype on alone taking a snap. You just put it on eBay and people just anticipate, oh, I got to buy it. I got to get this one of one now. I got to spend the money, and, just the anticipation brings up that price. So that stuff, we got it for so cheap. The Trubisky lot, I got it for so cheap. and yeah, that's just something we chill on.
Yeah, and for those of you that aren't familiar with Kenneth's content, him and one other creator whose IG handle is Roth Cards. I don't know what his first name is, but
Josh.
Josh. Okay, so Josh from Roth Cards, also super awesome dude. We're gonna try to get him on here as well at some point. But they bought a Gardner Minshew lot, which included a 1-of-1 Shield auto. I think you guys got it for $1,000.
Correct. We split 500, 500. It's
Yeah.
10 base prisms, 10 PSA 10 base prisms, 2 rookie autos, a Shield 1-of-1, and then like 4 raw autos.
Yeah.
And a gold select auto too. Like it was, I mean, it honestly, like we already got an offer on eBay for the 1-of-1 for like 700.
Oh.
So just think of it like that. Like,
yeah,
that's just something to chill on.
Yeah, I mean, well, people buy the hype, and in certain cases, the hype may be worth more than the reality, because if they have the hype that Minshew will get in the game at some point if Hurts falters, then they'll buy on that, versus if he gets in the game and goes 12 for 20 for 112 yards and an interception, then his card's worth shit.
Yeah, and it's like I mean, the hype literally, they don't even have to play sometimes too. Like Dwayne Haskins, for example, he had a great first preseason game.
Yep.
His base prisms prior to that game were like $20, $15. They were pennies on the dollar. They're still $70 after that week 1 preseason performance.
Yep.
Wow.
So Minshew just has to come in for a second. And that's kind of how we approached it. Like, after we calculated the math, we technically got the base prisms for like $20 a piece. So
yeah, and he had that initial huge hype when he came out, right? So
yeah,
people are still living off that. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's still there. It's in the back of people's minds. They're waiting for round 2.
Exactly.
Yeah, the USA the American flag headband, and whatever else he had on Instagram.
Yeah.
Minshew mania.
Yeah, not to spend too much time on Gardner Minshew, but I want to bring that up since it's in your most recent video. So at shows, I think a lot of people that listen have never been to a show. So walk through like what it's like at a show, how you approach a table, what are you looking to buy, because I think most of the people buy and sell on eBay or private, like Facebook groups and stuff. So explain the usual markdown that you can get at a show, and then how you usually approach everything.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people, like you were saying, a lot of people will buy online. They buy online, Facebook and eBay. So seeing like for example, whenever I first watched shows like on YouTube before I started, creating the content at the shows, I thought buying at like 70% was a myth. I thought that was literally a myth, absolute myth. Like, or buying stuff at 60, 50%, whatever you can get it for. I thought it was an absolute myth. But I mean, dealers all day long will actually honestly, you just got to approach it the right way too. Like it's based on how you talk to the people.
So walk us through that, because I think after this year's national, you're going to get more and more people that are going to shows, and know, I know I went to national this year for the first time, and I was overwhelmed. Like I didn't know what the fuck to do. Like there's so many tables and so many choices and so many cards, and in your head it's like, I want to look up all of these to see if I can get a deal, and you don't know what to do. So
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the national was just it was so much. I mean, we had a table at the national. It was just so much, like all at once. But I mean, really, like I'll just approach a dealer. You just, hey, how are you? It's literally like just a customer interaction. It's just like, hey, how are you? Made any good deals? How's the show going? And then you just, I kind of just, start talking about whatever sport. They're like, hey, what you looking for? And then we just kind of shoot the breeze for a little. I look at some stuff that I like. And then, maybe we can get a good price in there. There's some stuff that you can get for half off. There's stuff you can get for 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%. It truly really depends on the card, the player, the set. But
are you looking for base? Are you looking for refractors? Low numbered stuff. What are you usually looking for?
Right now, honestly, anything that really catches my eye. It could really be a base card. It could be a refractor. It could be anything. If the price makes sense already, then I'm kind of like, okay, I need to lock in on that. And not only that, like when I go to a show, I write down in my notes like, okay, what are the players that I'm targeting? So I literally block out everything else. So I'm looking specifically for, let's say I've got 5 players on my radar. I put those 5 players, everything else, I'm not looking at anything else. I'm literally looking for just those 5 players. And if they're not there, then you know, I may put another list down while I'm at the show, and then now I lock in on those players and that sort of thing. You don't want to get overwhelmed and have like 10 different players in your head, and you can't even find the first one, and then you're just like on the 7th player and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm always talking about doing your homework before going to shows. How much do you find that with that 5-player list you make, you're probably very well aware, without even looking stuff up half the time, where something's falling currently comp wise? How much benefit do you think it gives you when you just know the market so well on those 5 guys and your interactions with the dealers to help close the deal?
Yeah, that's true too.
Instead of looking up every single card.
Correct. Not only that, like I can look at. I think I've gotten to a point now where I can look at a card of a certain player, and like let's say there's not a price tag on it, and I'll ask the price, and I'll know if it makes sense immediately.
Exactly.
Where I don't even have to, like, sometimes I'll buy some stuff and not even have to look at the comps because the price made sense immediately. And then I look at the comps and I'm like, wow, that was a great deal. You'd be very surprised, like whenever you study the players you're actually looking for, if you're going to shows and you know what you're looking for, you'll be surprised, like you're like, wow, that makes sense. All right. Or you'll be like, no, that's way too high, or that's, you know, whatever it is. But that you got to do your homework typically before the show.
And usually when you're making, so when you're having negotiations, you usually let them make the first move, so to speak. Because
yeah,
I mean, from somebody
where you at?
from somebody who's watched your content, usually your move is, I got a number in my head, what are you thinking? And that's usually how you
sometimes. So like, you know, I just want to know how far off, because like, you know, I'll look at the card
exactly.
And, like, you know, their price, it's not making, like, let's say there's a card I've locked in on, right? But I know that, like, let's say there's a sticker on it, and I just know that sticker does not make sense. So you know, you got to ask first, yo, you got some room on this card? Like, you know, you're $50 over, like, there got to be some room. Or
so,
you know, you'll find some stuff and they're like $200 over. It's like, you know, you're 200 over the market. You know, what are we really? Are you trying to really move this card? That's the thing too. Are they really trying to move that card?
So do you actually ask that question? Because there are some times where a card can comp for $200 and it's listed for $450, and it's like usually you don't even want to mess with that because it's going to be a waste of time. But do you actually ask that card, like that question? Are you trying to move this card? Or
yeah, so I get around it. I'm like, I mean, so right. Are you truly trying to move this card? Like, that's why you ask, like, hey, where are we at on this? You know, how much room do you truly have on this card? Because I got a number in my head, but I know that number that you have on this sticker is completely different than what the market's, you know, asking for. And then not only that, you know, I ask people all the time because, you know, a lot of people are still hurting from that big peak we had in February, March.
Oh yeah.
So I always try to ask people, like, are you too high into this card? Like, did you buy and are you losing 40%? Like, is that really it? Or are you just in the hopes of it going back up? So that's another thing too. Like, a lot of people are really over leveraged of what happened earlier this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that got left holding the bag from the
Correct.
huge price spike back in February, and people had that FOMO and got in, and
yes.
Now all of a sudden the card is worth less than half of what it was, you know, a few months ago.
Right. And it hurts. And it sucks because it's not like us as buyers. It's not our problem, unfortunately. But it's like, look, I can't pay I can't pay. Let's say the card's $20,000, and now it's $6,000. Like, look, brother, I can't pay $20,000 now.
Yeah,
you know?
I can't dig you out of your hole.
Correct.
So that actually leads me to another question. You have no emotion when you're buying and selling, and I know a lot of people. And not to say like you're a heartless person, but you don't have any.
yeah, I don't know.
The wheels were turning in Kenneth's head there.
I was like, I don't
know. Not to say that you're a heartless person, but more that you don't have the attachment to a card, And how do you do that? Like, for example, in your Dallas video, you bought a Zion Auto. And, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
so, I mean, just in general, guys that have potential. So, how do you take the emotion out of it of, well, if Zion comes out and, you know, averages 25 and 10 this season, this card could go from 1,300 where I bought it to 2,500 versus I'm going to buy it for 1,300, flip it for 15, take my two and keep walking versus looking back and be like, yo, I could have made $1,000 on that card if I just would have held on to it for another 6 weeks. How do you have that emotional detachment or the coulda, shoulda, wouldas of, I mean, because I'm sure you have a deal that you look back on and be like, damn, if I would have held that for another 6 weeks, I could have crushed it, but I made
Yeah.
my 20% and I kept it moving. So how do you do that with you know what you're doing?
So it's tough sometimes. So like, I'm not gonna lie, like that Zion Auto, I didn't want to move it. I really didn't. Hudson, like that.
Poor
That's, you
Hudson.
know, Hudson, if you guys haven't watched the video,
Check it out.
Hudson is cool. So I met Hudson at the last Dallas show. So, you know, he watches my videos and stuff, and we actually, you know, he's a great kid, man. He's very like, you can tell he's like motivated to make moves, and it's awesome because it's like he's a young, like hustler. Like you could tell he enjoys putting in the work to hustle and, you know, to have cool cards and to have cash in his pocket, which is, it's crazy.
He's
But
what, 8, 10?
no, he's like 14, 13, I think.
Okay.
14, 13.
Yeah, so for those of you that are a little lost on the Hudson reference, Hudson is a 12 or 13-year-old kid that Kenneth made a deal with on a Zion Auto. Kenneth bought it for 1,300 and flipped it to Hudson for 1,500, who then said he was going to try to flip it for $2,000.
2,000, yeah, 2,000. He said 2,000. Well, the thing is, I mean, like the way I looked at it. So don't get me wrong, I like that card, and I saw the potential in that card. But I'm not gonna lie, like I picked that card up an hour ago. I mean, you make $200 in an hour.
Yeah.
It's almost a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I mean, that's cool. I mean, yeah, it shoulda, coulda, woulda. I could have made 1,000 in 6 weeks, but then there's other cards that just equal up to that 1,000 within a couple hours or a couple of days. Sometimes that's sometimes how I have to approach the mindset. Not only that, I just got the liquid cash that I had for the Zion, and not only that, I just got it back from just carrying the card from one side of the room to the other.
Right, and look at all the things you'll do with that extra $200 that you just made in an hour. How much money you're going to make spawned off of that, as opposed to sitting on nothing for 6 weeks.
Exactly. Whereas, like, you know, I could literally just take that $1,500 immediately, buy another $1,500 card, and now maybe that card is worth $2,100. There's so many deals. You just have to go out there and find them. That's really it.
And, you know, with that said, you know, obviously some guys can't make it out to the shows. So, you know, when you're looking for deals and stuff online, where are you usually finding your best deals?
Instagram, eBay, like.
And when you say Instagram, there are certain older gentlemen, meaning the other one on this call, who doesn't understand really what Instagram is or does. So walk through. I mean, because he does everything on Twitter. He has not gotten to Instagram yet. So walk through how you're
Instagram.
Yes.
Well, Instagram, I mean, like, you know, people will post up a picture and they're like, new pickup. And I'll just be like, hey, how much is this? Because it looks nice. You know, how much is that? Because I like that card. And then, you know, it's just like approaching it at a show. And then, you know, you just send the money. And you know, sometimes also, like, you know, sometimes there may be a card that I know that I have a buyer for immediately. Like, or that I know that I have a market for. Like, I live in North Carolina. And not only that, I go to Florida very often. Tom Brady sells amazing in Florida because he's in Tampa. Anything North Carolina sells great here in North Carolina. Like it could be like UNC autos, Duke autos, anything like that. So if something's underpriced and I know I can make 30% immediately within 2 days locally, that's stuff that catches my eye too.
So basically, you know, going through stuff on Instagram, you know, dealers or shops, you know, I mean, the one that everybody probably knows is Ryan from Collector 2, but I would highly doubt you're getting a deal from Ryan on Instagram. But I mean, I'm sure there's other guys like him that may not be as savvy, you know, that you can pick up deals on, or they're trying to unload stuff. So that's basically what you're doing on Instagram, trying to negotiate that way.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's some stuff that, you know, people will always put story sales and stuff like that, or I'll put a story and I'll be like, I'm buying this player. I'll just put up specific players that I'm buying, and then I just get a bunch of DMs of whatever they have of that player. And, you know, you get to see what the community has, and it's cool.
And what would you say price difference between, you know, we'll call eBay retail. So between Instagram and eBay or retail, and then at shows. Are you getting stuff cheaper at shows than Instagram?
Yes. Yes, because cash is king. Cash is always king.
Yeah, you gotta be.
Yeah.
So,
Cash is cash beats out PayPal, Venmo, all that every time.
No fees. No fees.
so what would you say your best flip was ever, just monetarily, like, you know, not quickest, but your best flip as far as, you know, the most money you've ever made on a flip?
So I bought a $4,000 collection in May. If you guys have watched the channel, like there's literally a video of me just looking through that, and that wasn't even like half of it either. It was like a third, but the thing is, I was just selling everything like hotcakes. I probably made off that 4,000 like 30K.
Wow,
That's
And-
great.
I mean, I sold a Albert Pujols retrofractor.
Oh, you're killing me.
that's the one.
Yeah,
That's the one Topps traded.
Yeah, I sold that one.
That's the
I
one.
sold the Chrome Topps traded.
That's the one card he
BGS8.
needs to finish his set. Of
So,
that.
Yeah.
so because I'm old, I have all 266 Chrome retrofractor. Well, 265. I have the Ichiro. I have the Pujols Ichiro. I do not have the Pujols.
No, it
Gotta
wasn't
get-
my bad. It wasn't the Pujols. It was the Pujols Ichiro retrofractor.
Okay, all right. All
Okay.
right, well, you're off the hook then. I got one.
All right.
What'd you get for it back then?
So I sold it for $3,300, a BGS8. So
That's
I mean,
very
at
good.
the time, like out of that $4,000 collection, I literally already sold like so much raw. And then I paid $150 to grade the Pujols retrofractor, and I sold it for $3,300. Like, if you think about it, that's basically my best flip. 150 into a card, all the way to $3,300. I mean, that's
Okay, so
3,000.
that one you graded yourself.
Yes.
Very cool.
Awesome. Yeah, well, in the event you ever see the Pujols retrofractor and you can get a good deal on it, let us know so that Bunk can finish his set.
There is somebody I know that actually has a couple of them, so I can put you in
Well,
contact.
let me know if he takes a payment plan.
Okay. Yeah. Nowadays, they need payment plans.
Oh my gosh, yeah, those cards spot. I opened must have 50 of those boxes back in 2000. It was insane.
Thankfully, his wife doesn't listen to the podcast, or else she
Well-
would put the kibosh on that.
You want to hear a funny story about that card, the retrofractor I bought?
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah.
one that I had out of the collection? All right. So I had this whole room was just filled with boxes, right? There was a binder. It was just of Pujols, right? So, I know Pujols. Like, I watched baseball growing up. I know he's, like at the time he was one of the best hitters that I ever watched. So, I mean, I know he has a demand in the market. But I didn't know he had that much of a demand, honestly.
Oh yeah.
So I'm looking through the binder and I see this card, him and Ichiro together, right? I'm like, wow, that's a nice card. And it says like Rookie of the Year. So I'm thinking, wow, rookie card, this is sick.
It was in
I
a
take it
binder
out.
sleeve.
It was just in a binder sleeve. I take it out.
Boy.
Punk's about to have a
I
heart
take it
attack.
out and it starts refracting. Like it starts shining. And I'm like, whoa. So then I look at him, I'm like, $200, I'd be happy. Then out of nowhere, I see the raw sale like $2,300. I'm like, whoa,
Jackpot.
yeah, jackpot, and it was just crazy. Like to see it in the binder, and I was like, oh, I gotta get this out. I gotta penny sleeve it, top load it, and then I made my Beckett order that night. It looked really good. I mean, it was a BGS 8, but it had 9.5 centering, and I knew it'd be like an 8 or an 8.5, but I was very happy to get it graded.
That's awesome.
And so with that being said, what was your worst flip, biggest loss you've taken?
Trey Young last year.
Oh yeah.
So I bought in.
You weren't the only one.
Yeah, this is anybody who's getting started or like anybody who's like been in the hobby for maybe less than a year or anything like that. I'm gonna give you guys the best advice. Do not ever buy any cards with a credit card. Never. Ever, never, ever, never, never. I spent $5,000 on Trey Young, right? None of it was my money. This is the worst thing I ever did in my probably ever. And then it wasn't even 5. It was probably like 6 or 7. But it went down like 40%. I was buying his base prisms at like 700, and I could have sold them a month later whenever they were 800. And then I was like, nah, he's going crazy. They're gonna hit 1,000 soon. Out of nowhere, they were back to 540. I bought his Silver Prism PSA 9 when it was like 900. Then it hit like 1,300, and then out of nowhere, it was like at 600. Like I just took. It was probably like a 40% loss, almost 50%. It was bad.
That's
Wow.
also probably why you move things at a profit as fast as you
Oh.
possibly can.
I mean, like I bought Trae Young Silver Prism PSA 9. I even look at my transactions back then because I bought them all on my slabs. I bought Silver Prism PSA 9 for $900, and then in June I bought that same card for $200 or $300, something like that.
Yeah, they're
It's
super
just
cheap
ridiculous.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that Bunk, you have a specific question around Hudson and kids in the hobby. Why don't you get that out right now?
Yeah, just circling back. I was, like we were talking off air a little bit. We were talking about how, 20 years ago, since I lived that hobby experience, and there was, no social media or very little. The internet wasn't a big thing with the cards, etc. So kids at the time didn't have the kind of access they do now to check out your content. That they're familiar with everything going on. They see, stuff like you're doing, the celebrities and all this stuff going on right now. So I feel like there are more new kids coming into the hobby now than ever before. And why I think it's such a big deal is because everyone sees a little dip and they're like, oh, hobby's crashing, I'm out. But I think that's not true. I think this is literally still the infancy based on the fact that I watch some of these videos and there are kids everywhere trying to be bosses with cards. Speak a little bit to your interactions. Do you do a lot of deals with kids? Are there a lot of kids at the shows kind of calling their own shots?
All the time. Gosh,
that's awesome.
It's crazy. It's literally like you'll see kids with wads of cash.
Yeah.
And then like sometimes I'll ask like, hey,
you got a permission slip?
Parents give you this? Like, no, I did this myself. Like literally they'll tell you with confidence, no, I did this myself.
Yeah.
Like you'll see kids with crazy cards, like BGS 10s, autos, like ridiculous high-end cards all the time. And they know what they're doing. Like they'll look up comps and then, whenever you'll get into an intense negotiation with a kid. Like they'll literally be like, no, I mean, that auto's a little faded. So I think mine is more valuable or just anything in general. Like they know, know what they're doing.
They're little brats. I mean, in certain cases they are because they're 15 usually, like they're 13 to 15 years old and they think they know everything. I watched some crazy shit at National with kids just, as you said, walking around thousands of dollars in cash, doing deals, yelling at dealers for having things mispriced because they thought that they were, overpriced or the comps weren't up to date. So
did you see the video of the kid yelling at Phil Hughes at National, telling him all his cards were comped wrong?
I was there for that.
No, I didn't see that.
I was literally, I was there for that. I watched.
You were listening to a lot, yeah. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
I mean, like kids nowadays, it's crazy. Like they'll have so much high end stuff and so much cash, and it's just ridiculous. Like for example, Hudson, he's cool. This guy was buying stuff at 50%. Well, negotiating 50%.
And that's the question: do these dealers give kids a better deal because they're kids?
Well, if that's the case, I need to hire some kids.
Yeah, really. you expand your payroll,
dude. Cut Hudson in on some stuff, bankroll him a little bit. All right, so yeah, we're winding down a little bit here. Just a couple more questions. Obviously, the huge bombshell that dropped a few weeks ago with Panini and Topps losing out to Fanatics. You have a thought on this as far as how it impacts the hobby, how it impacts your life, or from your standpoint, you're just making deals and keeping it moving?
Just making deals, keeping it moving. Honestly, like I've read a little bit into the details. I mean, I really don't have too much of an opinion, honestly, on it right now because I don't want to talk about something that I really don't know too much about, honestly. Like I said, I've read some on it, but I mean that's the bigger guy, that's the top guy.
The world keeps spinning, and you keep making deals.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, if that's like truly the end of Topps, I mean, I've been seeing Topps since I was a kid, which is it's crazy, like, I mean, Topps is Bowman. Years. Bowman is Topps. Not only like that's iconic. Topps, 1952 Topps, 1956 Topps, like that's just iconic stuff.
Yeah. Bunk, do you have any more questions? I have one final question that I'm going to ask, but I'm going to save it as the last question.
His internet might cut out though. He doesn't want to field this question, I'm afraid.
Nah, it'll be fun.
All right, go ahead.
Do you have any other questions?
No, I'm good.
All right, so we're going to close on this final question. It is a negotiation between you and Josh from Roth. Who wins?
Uh,
Who
Dang.
gets
I've actually,
who gets the
hey,
better of the
I've
deal?
actually, nah, I've actually beat him before. I got a Jordan rookie sticker from him in Tampa, so he hasn't bought a card off me yet. So right now, I think I'm ahead. I'm in the lead.
So you're 1-0 in the negotiations right now?
I'm 1-0 right now because I got a rookie
Fantastic.
sticker off.
Yeah, it seems like you guys are boys, so I figured I'd throw that out there and stir it up a little bit with that.
Yeah, he definitely gets some great deals though. I mean, we've both gotten some great deals before. So
Yeah, he makes awesome content, and definitely shout outs to him. Go check out his stuff on Instagram, Roth ROTH cards. He does some inspirational content on a regular basis, which is also awesome, and seems like really good for the hobby. And you guys made some great content together as well. So shout outs to him, and Kenneth has laid down the gauntlet. Said he's 1-0.
yeah, 1-0 right now. I mean, but he is tough, so it might be 1-1 soon.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're wrapped up, man. We really appreciate the time. I thought this was going to be 15 or 20 minutes, but we turned it into 50. So we are so appreciative of your time. Once again, why don't you throw out your YouTube and Instagram stuff, and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, so just follow me on Instagram at KFORNOZ, and then subscribe to my YouTube channel at Kenneth Fornos. Thank you guys for having me. Honestly, if you guys ever need me again, we can always talk about.
Yeah.
I can talk about this all day.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll meet up at the Philly show for a couple minutes.
Yeah, we'll meet up at the Philly show, have a good time, and and same at the Raleigh show too.
Yeah. I'll be at the Raleigh show. I'll hit you up on Instagram, and we'll meet up in person.
Sounds good, guys. I appreciate your time. Thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And we are back. Thank you guys for staying tuned with the Sports Card Advantage podcast. Just wrapped up the interview with Kenneth Fornos. Once again, shout out to Kenneth. We really appreciate the time. Awesome interview. We're hoping to continue to bring you guys interviews. We'll be going to shows and meeting up with content creators and other people that are in the trenches. I think those guys can offer you a lot more insight on how to live and breathe this hobby than some of the guys at the top of the food chain. So really appreciate it. And so now we'll get into Sports Card Advantage business. We have an award for last week. Got a few more entries this week than last week, so slowly but surely we're getting some people to participate. So Bunk, give me a number between 1 and 10.
In honor of Derek Jeter tomorrow, 2.
Why are we honoring Derek Jeter tomorrow?
This little thing called the Hall of Fame.
Is tomorrow his Hall of Fame induction?
Well, if I'm wrong, it's going to look really bad, but yes.
All right. Well, hopefully you're right. All right. 1 and 2. So this list has been randomized twice. The winner, unfortunately, he did not put a name, but the winner is the gentleman whose email begins with MVPSR. You are the winner. I will reach out to you by email and get your address so that we can send you out the card. So this week, for everybody, actually one other piece of business. Unfortunately, not enough interest in the Sports Card Advantage podcast Fantasy Football League. We only had a total of 7 people sign up. So even if we would have jumped in with a team, that would have been 8. And nobody plays 8-team fantasy. So we will punt that to basketball. Maybe we can get enough interest in a fantasy basketball team, which should be an easy win for you guys since we don't know that much about actual basketball players. But anyway, we do have some investments that we want to talk about this week, and all the peanut gallery questions, hot takes, stuff that we would have covered. We're going to kick that into next week. The interview ran almost 50 minutes. So when we tack on this little investment section, it'll push us well over an hour. So we're going to run everything that we would have talked about this week into next week. So for those of you that I said we were going to get to your questions this week, I apologize. The interview ran longer than we thought. So trust me, we will still get to your questions. With that being said, before we do the investment, this week's secret cards are the following. 2017 Dalvin Cook Silver Prism, 2020 Origins Antonio Gibson 3-color patch auto, and 2020 Gold Standard T. Higgins 3-patch auto. For those of you that are new to the podcast, every week we list 3 secret cards that we're willing to give away. In order to enter to win, all you have to do is listen for when we get to the secret card part of the podcast and hear what the 3 cards are and pick one that you want and send us an email to info@sportscardadvantage.com. That's info@sportscardadvantage.com. Now, we will get into this week's investments and then we will wrap it up. I know that you have some baseball since we're coming up on playoffs and one guy that you want to talk about, and then I'm going to do a couple football. And we do have a lottery ticket this week, and we'll wrap it up. So give me who we're talking about.
We're talking about Randy Arozarena this week.
As a Razarena?
Yeah, Randy. Big market Tampa Rays, who don't lose, by the way. They literally never lose, as a disgruntled Yankee fan. But anyway, if you remember, Arozarena came out of nowhere last playoffs and put his name on the map with just a absolutely sick playoff run, ALCS MVP, etc. Again, sticking with the theme of looking at who's going to be headed to the playoffs and maybe playing some serious October baseball here, I looked at the Rays and Arozarena jumped out at me. I was checking out his 2020 Topps flagship card just to see where they were at. PSA 10 pops at $883, and the last one literally went for $22.
So you're looking at regular Topps, not Topps Chrome?
I'm looking at both.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I'm trying to get everything up on screen here for Card Ladder. So yeah, holy shit, $22, huh?
$22 PSA 10. Now, for a flagship rookie card, and if you didn't grade it, well worth the $20 bill, especially if he's going to put on performance that he did last year. And this goes, you'll see a nice linear relationship here as you go through his 2020 Topps Chrome base. That PSA 10 is a pop of $663 and only at $40. And even to go so far as his PSA 10 Topps Chrome Refractor with a pop of $119 at $60. The biggest drop off is on the refractor from previous highs. Now there's not as many of them, so the data is a little short on sample size there, but the $60 is way off its previous high. And let me also note that he has 28 more hits in the playoffs than Mike Trout.
Jeez, you never missed an opportunity to take pot shots at Mike Trout.
No, I like Mike Trout. I feel bad. I wish he'd get back on the field.
He's the spotlight stealer for your boyfriend there, Bryce.
Bryce. Just padded stats.
Yeah, Bryce is in the conversation for NL MVP. But from a technical standpoint, this chart looks like the charts that we like to see. Looks like it's at a bottom. It's been dinking along from between 30 and 40 since July. So the last dozen or so sales. Your low price is $29.53. And right now, the last couple sales have gone $39 to $42. So having $10 risk versus the high of this card was selling back in March at $160. Not to say that this $40 card is going to quadruple, but as Bunk said, if you can stack a few of these and he has a nice run in the playoffs, you could easily see this card hit $80. Did that back in May and June. So, an opportunity to double up on your money and make a few bucks and keep it moving.
Absolutely.
All right. The football season is upon us. Recording this podcast on September 7th, and we literally have kickoff in 2 days. So I wanted to make sure that we talked some football. And the 3 cards that we're going to talk about are not rookies, and they're not quarterbacks. But
Oh boy.
I was shocked to see how some of the best players in the league have cards that are so cheap. So first we're going to look at 2016 Ezekiel Elliott Prism Silver PSA 10. Normally when you think Prism Silver, you're thinking $700-800 cards with guys like Burrow and Herbert. Zeke's rookie Prism last sale was $166. This is a PSA 10, mind you, and if you look at his last handful of sales, you're looking at a price range of anywhere from $166 to $240. So hopefully you can try to get this card for $200. And I personally think that you sit on it. Zeke is potentially a guy that could be a Hall of Famer. So you have 2 courses of action here: either flip mid-season if he's tearing it up, or if you're longer term looking for stuff that should appreciate in value. Definitely a guy that is on the field, plays in one of the largest football markets, and should appreciate in value, especially if he has continues to have the solid career and goes Hall of Fame. Next guy is 2017 Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook had a ridiculous year last year. 1,600 yards and what do you have, 20 touchdowns, something along those lines. His cards are all over the place, so you definitely have to pay attention a little bit, but gradually trending upwards as the sales close. The last month of sales, you're seeing anywhere from 180 to 240. 240 was fixed, but your auctions actually 255. So you hopefully can get this for around the same price, as the Zeke at $200. But I would definitely hop on this stuff as soon as possible. I think you're going to see a pretty quick jump as new football product comes out, and as these guys start to take the field and perform. Last but not least, a gentleman who has moved way up your fantasy boards, and that is Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, Prism Silver PSA 10, last sale $301. A little bit more expensive, but I do think some of the attention that he's been paid for fantasy and some of the stuff that he's been in the news for has all been relatively positive, and his prices are gradually moving up. They were in the low 2s in June, and now they're somewhere in the high 2s to low 3s. So trying to get this for as close to 300 or below 300 as you can. But Tyreek is electric on the field. He plays with Mahomes. Going to get plenty of attention. He's the number 1 weapon in that offense, so definitely some potential.
What year is that card?
2016.
And what's the previous high, or of late of high?
440.
Okay.
So not a ton of room, but at the same time, there's opportunity, and if you can't afford that, there's the PSA 9. Population 296, and that's going for, you probably get it for less than 100. There's a best offer at 125, but I don't think that's 100% legit. So everything else before that was like $85 to $95. So you may be able to get the PSA 9 Prism Silver from Tyreek at less than $100.
Yeah, and the little theme I see there is you're looking at 3 pretty darn good players, but these cards are now 4 to 6 years from their rookie, from their release. And this is the phenomenon I've spoken about before, and I see this all the time in baseball. You get the initial hype, couple years, high, and then people just kind of forget about you because they're moving on to the next thing. And they keep trudging along, having a great career, but it's like you almost forget about them card-wise for a while. and then they kind of hit these lows all of a sudden. You see it all the time, and aside from your absolute superstars on the map, sort of thing, that just are high all the time. But see this a lot. It's always a good time. I always think in that 5 to 7 year range, and they're going to end up having a 12-year career or something, and they just get forgotten about, and you can scoop in and pick up a lot of nice stuff at those times.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the same goes for Devonte Adams. I mean, Devonte Adams is even cheaper. Devonte Adams Topps Chrome 2014 PSA 10 sold for $135. Last sale. And I mean, granted, the pops are super low, so if you can find them for that price, I would snake it. The last two that got sold were the 24th and 26th of August. So definitely not something that's readily available, but super cheap for arguably the best wide receiver in football right now. And
and again, he falls right into that window. He's 7. What's that? What'd you say? 2014?
Yeah, 2014.
Yeah, so 7 years out. He's arguably the number one wide receiver in football. There's no way, if you said, "Oh, what do you think of his PSA 10 silver's going for?" or rookie was going, I never would have guessed that low.
No, and if you look at the refractor is going for 200, and but the pop's 57. So, who knows whether or not you'd be able to put your hands on one. The last sale was July 25th. I mean, it looks like recently these cards maxed at 400, but also once again, Devontae is coming into his own. He's putting up numbers, and between him and Tyreek, you can flip a coin as far as which guy is the best wide receiver in football. And I think the difference this year is there's more people in the hobby once football season starts and stats start getting put up on the field. I think we're in a bit of a new territory. I think we're in a situation where there has never been this much money in the hobby. So we're really going to get an idea of what in-season spikes mean, once things start to heat up with the play on the field.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about a couple weeks ago. We saw what happened last year amongst other, factors going on. So very interesting to see where we go and where does the money go. So we're assuming it's going to be huge, right? But does 90% of it go to the new releases, the new rookies, and some of these other cards continue to just kind of stall out?
Well, I mean, considering some of the prices I've heard on Mac Jones, I mean, listening to some of the other podcasts out there, and they're talking about Mac Jones patch autos going for $500 or $600 on the low end, and up to like $2,500 to $3,000. Like, I don't know. We said it a couple weeks ago. I'm not touching 2021 rookies right now, and especially not touching those quarterbacks.
Yeah. I mean, unless you got a crystal ball, let me know. But can't do it.
I mean, dude, even her, we mentioned the example. Even Herbert was pretty decent as soon as he started playing wire to wire, and even his stuff dropped 50% from beginning of season to end. So, we're in a little bit of uncharted territory, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen. But stay with stuff that's tried and true, and the charts look good, and because I think once you see Mac have the bad rookie games, which he's going to have, the prices are going to dump, and you'll be able to get better deals. Yeah, tons of panic selling. You'll be able to get plenty of good deals. I mean, look at week 5 when after the Bucs come into Gillette and annihilate the Patriots on their home field. That'd be when I'll look to buy Mac Jones, because everybody's going to be selling it. Anyway, I think we covered everything. Solid interview. Gave out this week's card.
And a couple of investments.
And announced some investments. Announced the secret card for next week. We'll push. We have some great stuff for you guys next week. If you ever have any questions or anything you want us to talk about on the podcast, send us an email to info@sportscardadvantage.com. If there's any guests or other people that you want us to try to get on the show, happy to take a look at whatever content or whatever it is they're doing. We're looking for guys that are living their day-to-day in the hobby that can offer you guys some insight Unfortunately, the guys like Nat Turner are a little bit out of our reach right now, but we'll do the best we can to get guys on that'll provide you guys some information and some helpful stuff that you can to use for your collecting and flipping. Anything else, Guy?
No, Guy. I'm good. I'm wiped out.
I think we're wrapped up. This is episode 24.
Yeah, we should probably start paying attention to that a little more closely. But I
Yeah,
believe you're right.
a little bit.
24.
Yeah, we're gonna say episode 24 wrapped up. Thanks everybody once again. Thanks to Kenneth for hopping on here with us. We really appreciate the time and enjoyed learning more about what you do, and hopefully everybody loves the episode as well.
Yeah, go check his stuff out.
Yeah, go check his stuff out. Have a good week, everybody. We'll see you next week.